Lex Reads. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about some books that I have purchased because of BookTok. I have gotten on the bandwagon and it has influenced me a little bit. So I want to share some of them that I have purchased. So before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Like I was saying, I have been influenced by BookTok. I notice every time when I usually buy books, before I purchase them, I will go and see what people think about them. And my go-to is Goodreads, but now I have used TikTok for that avenue just to see what people think about them. Sometimes it has altered me to buy the book, sometimes it hasn't. So yeah, so now let's get to these books that they have influenced me. Okay, so first, oh gosh, the Maple Hills series, I believe, is that what it is? Everyone again talked about this book, and they specifically mentioned that page 136 where it's a scene. Okay, like it is a scene. It's kind of giving you Zane a little bit. Well, no, it's not, because Zane, nobody can write like Zane when it comes to erotica. It has that subject matter, but the cover is so dubious because you're thinking that this is not a romance, book. It looks like a YA. My sister actually bought this for me, picked it up. She's like, why you want to read this little kiddish book? I'm like, girl, this is not a kiddish book. It is not a kiddish book. I haven't read this yet. I do plan to read it. It is on my, cart to read. Now, I don't have the second book of the series. Again, while I was on TikTok, some people were saying that the second book in the series is not good. I think what I'm going to do is I do want to read this. I think these books, you can read them out of sequence. So if I do, like both of these, I will, eventually get the second one. You guys have read Hannah Grace. Tell me if you like them or not. Again, people were going in for icebreakers. Next is Kennedy Ryan's The Hoop series. Now, I listened to the first book, Long Shot, and oh my gosh, that was a lot, but it was so good. Kennedy Ryan, obviously she's a romance author, but her books are not the typical romance, and that's one thing I like about them. She kind of also gives you, not kind of, she does give you, women's fiction, contemporary fiction, and that is one of my favorite genres. And when I got on TikTok and people were just going like in on it, I was like, you know what? I want to read it. And I read it, and I had already read Before I Let Go and This Could Be Us. And I was still on a Kennedy Ryan kick, and I was not ready to, stop reading her books. So in the month of July, that's when I read so much of Kennedy Ryan. But this Hoop series is really good. I would say the first is my favorite, and Blockshot, I do like Blockshot, but I would say the first is my favorite, even though it is very traumatic. I mean, yeah, you trigger warnings to the max. You have to get your mind right, to read, the books, and particularly all the books, but mainly that, book. I do think I am going to get the first book, like, the actual copy, so I can have like the whole, series. I do remember when I listened to the book on audio, I decided I wanted to physically read the second and third book. Sometimes I will do that. I'm a type of person where I do like to have the tangible book, even though with romances, I do realize I like to listen to it on audio. But again, her books are not typical romance, so that's why I wanted to have like the physical copy. Next is a series that I am currently reading right now, and when I tell you I am really enjoying it, it is by Chloe Leese, and it is the Bergman Brothers series. I think I need 2 more books and I'll have the whole series, and also I need to read 3 more books and I'll be done with this series. And although it's called the Bergman Brothers series, they do have 2 sisters. First of all, these covers are so bomb. If you see the cover, it crosses off brother and says sister. These were re-released, but she got picked up by a traditional, publishing company, so they re-released them. Now, personally, I've read all of these, right? The first one is my favorite, and the one thing I love about these books and these series that I haven't come across for me personally is the representation. They all have like a disability, trope. So you're dealing with anxiety, you're dealing with mental health. What else? Irritable bowel syndrome, celiac, things of that nature. And I've told you guys before, where when it comes to dealing with especially like mental health issues, I always want to be cognizant and aware and learn more about that, because because I have, you know, friends and family members that do struggle with that. And personally, I don't. And I know it's a blessing that I don't. And I never take it for granted. I always want to learn as much as possible because in the past, I have been ignorant and not cognizant of it. So from then on, I was like, you know what? I really want to educate myself. And I love the fact that I can do that. We're also enjoying my favorite genre, which is fiction. So yeah, these I would highly recommend. And the covers, like, look at these covers. These covers are just so pretty. It's like you just want to display like all of them. So yeah, she is slowly becoming one of my favorite romance authors, and I do want to get, it's another series by her that I think after I'm finished with this, I will pick it up. Next is the Element series by Brittany Cherry. Now there is, I believe, 4 books in this series. Brittany Cherry, also like Chloe Leese, she was an independent, you know, author, but she was picked up by a publishing company. So they like re-released. So they're re-releasing her books. Now, The Silent Waters, this just came out last month, and I believe the next book out of the series is going to come out in December, which I will be getting it. Now, one thing I love about this series in particular, it's standalone. You don't have to read them in order, or you can like skip a book. And I did that for the second book, The Fire Between High and Low. I just could not get into this at all. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to DNF it. I do think I'm gonna get rid of this because my thing is I know I'm not gonna read it. So far from the Element series, this is my favorite, The Air He Breathes. I did a video on this when I was reading for a week, romance books for the whole week, and this was my favorite from that week when I was reading it. It is just so good. It's about a young man named Tristan. Is it Tristan? Yeah. And he's just like known in the town as like a mean, like just a mean man. And you kind of keep away from him, but there's a reason why he is that way. And when you find out, it just breaks your heart. And in comes the female character, Emma. She recently has, you know, experienced some trauma. And yeah, you see how it goes. I love the illustrations too from the books. And also I've noticed, this is the first, here's a Silent Waters one. This is the one I just recently read last month. I've noticed too with her books, I just assumed that, you know, because she was a Black author that the characters are Black, but when you read them and she describes them, you're like, yeah, no, they're not Black, because I mean, they got blonde hair and blue eyes. So I think this is the first time I've read a romance novel by a Black author that the characters weren't Black. And I love these covers too. They're so like simplistic yet really pretty. And then lastly is Dawn and Dusted by Lila Sage, I believe. And this is also a series. I just picked up the first book because I said I'm going to read it, and then if I like it, I'll pick up the second book. I know that the series is still continuing, but the young lady on TikTok, her name is Kira, is it Lewis? She's the one that was reading Harry Potter for the first time. And if you have watched her TikToks, she is hilarious. I love the way that she like reviews books and things like that. But she was talking about this and she just convinced me. And it's like the brother's best friend type of, you know, trope. I do kind of like that sometimes. And then I did want to kind of step out my comfort zone of not just reading Black romance authors, even though, you know, that's my stuff and I'm always gonna vouch for that. But I'm like, you know, read some out of your comfort zone. And I love the covers. The covers are just, they're so like old fashioned. It gives me that. So yeah, guys, that is it when it comes to books that TikTok has influenced me, you know, to get. And I know that it's gonna just continue even more because again, it has helped me to determine if I, you know, want to read that book or not. So yeah, guys, that's all I have for you, and I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.